All right, we're live. We're here. I got my Virtus Pro shirt on. Obviously, we're talking the Xfinity Series at Gateway. I did go ahead just because the UFC card has 2 fights left. I did go ahead and just send Sheets a message that if he wants to, he can hop on here, and we can watch the rest of the fight or of this later. We can talk about him and whatnot as he. I mean, he finished second in the main GPP last night for Showdown, and then him and I both have 150 lines in the main UFC thing right now, and I don't know necessarily how live each of us are. Here we can. I kind of want to get this done before we get into the final card or the final fight. I'd like to watch that, but this is where I'm personally at. I don't know. And this is the main one. I think I'm chasing to have the optimal potentially in the 5, but I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, I've been doing the NASCAR stuff. Where are we at here? If the underdog for actually no, we changed. Well, I don't know. I haven't had time to go through here, but anyway, so I have that going on. So I'd like to get this done to watch the last fight. Anyway, looking at the Gateway slate and stuff. Super small slate, 5,800 people and stuff. When we look at the starting grid, I mean, obviously we had a 50-minute practice, and this is where the practice data is for these guys here. But why is Sammy Smith way down here? What's going on? I left a bad lap in there. I was like, why is Sammy Smith at the bottom of this? Oops. Whoops. Where does that put him now? 50-minute practice, 2 sets of tires. So, obviously, it's just practice data. We don't really need to be too concerned about. Obviously, we can see where a vast majority of the faster guys, put on new tires and start doing Q runs at the end and stuff right here. But for the most part, do we see anything drastically out of the ordinary at like the top of the averages? Connor Zilic, Eric Amarola, Taylor Gray. No, not at all. You would expect these 3 guys to have, top 5 speed, especially when we look at where they were able to end up qualifying on this slate. Now, first and foremost, okay, I am personally just of how I'm going about it. I really, really don't want to play Sanchez, and I really don't want to play William Sawalish. Okay, now I think Connor Zilic is the favorite to lead laps and whatnot, but I think this is a slate since Justin Allgaier qualified 14th, and since Eric Amarola is starting 7th at 10,500, and Allgaier's at 11.5. I really like this slate to play a lot of people in the top half of the field that are under 10K. Okay. Obviously, Connor Zilic, leads a lap and whatever. But since we're building with Connor in mind, like I think Taylor Gray's a great play, especially based on, where he's at. And not yet again, we're not focusing really on practice data, but we've seen where Taylor Gray has been this year. And he's very much been in play, and we should expect only improvements going forward, entering next year. Sam Mayer coming off the win at Iowa, on top of how well he's just been at 9,500. I honestly think that if Connor Zilic doesn't win this, I think Sam Mayer would probably be the guy who would more than likely be the one competing to win this over people like Allgaier, over people like Austin Hill and stuff. So personally, for me, I want to build quite a lot of lineups with guys up in the top half of the field, and specifically guys, in the with guys starting in the top 10 and stuff here. Like I said, I like Sam Mayer, I like Taylor Gray. Secondly, since this is the cutoff race for the playoffs here, I do have some concern about guys doing incredibly stupid things, especially if we get a yellow late in the race. People like Daniel Dye, Ryan Sieg, people who aren't already in the playoffs and stuff, they literally have to win to get in and everything. Duh. Um, I would expect them to get different on tire strategy, on when the yellows come out and stuff like this. So, yet again, when we can say, Nicholas and William, actually, Nick won at Atlanta, but you could say that about William and stuff too, but I think that gives a lot more potential upside to yet again. You have to have a somewhat fast car to be able to take advantage of staying out or get on a different strategy to take over the lead or win late in a race. But I think that actually gives a lot of advantage to people like Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton, um, Ryan Sieg, Jones, people who, Harrison Burton, people who run in the top half of the field, who at least have, 18th fastest lap speed, and then, a yellow comes out or they can get off sequence and stuff. So I like, not only do I like a lot of the guys in the top 10, like that just gives me a lot of interest in playing, the 7 and 8K range, in the top half of the field, because not only do the guys up here expect to have speed, but with how difficult isn't the word, but Gateway is a track to where if you don't have speed, you're just not going to be there. If you're a team that can't get a car mechanically inclined to turn, you're just going to be like pulling. People are going to pull away from you down the straightaways, right? So there should not be a lot of side by side racing in this race outside of the restarts. Okay, once people spread out and run where they should be, that's where they're going to be, and so that really hinders a lot of people in the back of the field here. I know Dean Thompson went to a backup car. Obviously, maybe maybe you'd want to give a little bit more or not more, but maybe you don't want to worry about his place differential upside. But like really, the only guys back here that I would envision, really passing anybody is Retzloff, Poole, and Dean Thompson. Everybody else back here, from 24th on back, I don't really see them doing anything. If you're chasing place differential, I think the best you can do is Sammy Smith and Matt DiBenedetto today. That's really how I'm looking at it. And so the way I'm would assume that I'm different, but just how I'm approaching it is like I'm probably not going to play Allgaier. I'm probably not going to play Eric Almirola, despite the fact we've been playing him all year and stuff. I just like Connor Zilic, and I like Sam Mayer and Taylor Gray. When it's a green race or a normal race, the guys up front or guys you're expecting to be up front should finish up there. But when you have people swinging for the fences and stuff, I think it only hurts the guys who are normally up in the front, i.e. Allgaier, i.e. Eric Almirola and stuff. Like there's no benefit to people getting on different strategies to them. It's only a hindrance. And so that's where I'm really wanting to get different and stuff here. I'll see if anybody is in here. What's going on, Ross? Yeah, I don't mind Hemrick at 8,000. I mean, even Jesse, at a pretty significant, soft price, and him at 92, should probably be closer to 94. Like Sammy Smith, Jesse Love, Hemrick, Corey Day. You could even argue Sheldon Creed are all underpriced and stuff. So when we're looking at the salaries and stuff, like I said, I'm not really interested in Allgaier, Eric Almirola, Austin Hill. So I'm basically removing the entirety of the 10K range here today, and that's really just my approach today. In terms of value, everybody's very identical. Everybody's starting where they should be at. I think it's worth taking the DGM car that Matt Mills is starting 37th at 57. Ryan Ellis starting 32nd. Even LeVar Scott is probably the other one, but those are really the only value plays that I'd be considering. The salary is, oddly enough, it's pretty soft, in the upper mid range, but it's super, super tight down here. We don't have anybody in the 4Ks at all. And I think what was anticipated, at least on this, was at least for me, I expected Allgaier and Eric Almirola to, really show up and qualify better. The fact that I think William Sanchez had a very favorable shadow in turns 3 and 4 during their qualifying laps, although it may not have been William. He may not have had it. I just think they got lucky with the track temp when they ended up going out and stuff. Go ahead and back and look here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the exposure. Yet again, Saberson doesn't have their stuff yet. So let's Kind of look at my top 1,000 lines, see where the exposure is between those guys. It should be the people I just kind of mentioned there, which is usually kind of what I go off of stuff. Nothing really out the ordinary. I mean, this is probably going to be the focus or focal point of where I'm at in this slate. I actually don't have a lot of people for value either. It's only these three guys that I have projected for over value and stuff today, so I don't really have much else to report on this Xfinity Series race. And like I said, I kind of want to get back out and honestly kind of watch these last two fights. Where are we at in terms of the contest filling? Looks like the 4 is about to fill, if it hasn't already. 4 is about to fill. 10's about to fill. So let's go here really fast. Let me look. Do we have another 10 up? We do, and it's 352 people. That is terrible. Another 4 up. That's 118 people. So it looks like I'm personally not entering any other contest today for NASCAR. They got rid of the 5 for Xfinity too, which was very unfortunate. Obviously tomorrow NFL's back. I'm going to go live early at like 7 or 8 a.m. Talking about the Cup Series slate, and then Sheets and Rhodey, and I believe Bobby's still going to try and join him, although he's out of the country right now. They'll be talking about obviously the NFL slate and stuff. But I mean, I think that's really it. Let's see. 100%. Oh, St. Dennis. Yeah. What's going on, Alexander? This was my exposure, just for the sake that we're already here. This is my exposure for the slate here, which Bortello, I don't even know if he's fighting this one or if he's in the next one. So he's the favorite for the main event. Obviously, everybody had to play him 6,800. Jones did pretty well. This guy did pretty well. Obviously, Gus String got beat by this dude. But these were my exposures of where I was at today. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't know necessarily how live I am. I haven't really dug through all the lineup shit. I'm gonna do that after this. So we'll see what happens here. How much do I have of these? I think I'm higher on Ruffy 32. I got both, but it's looking like I think I need Ruffy way more in this next fight. But yeah, in terms of Xfinity, I think that's mainly about it. Hosh going to Chevy next year. I think that should only make Creed and Mayer be way better. And especially since Connor is not going to be in this car next year, I would envision Creed to finally get his win and Mayer to be pretty dominant. I think the favorites to compete should be, Allgaier, Sam Mayer, Creed, Eric here, let's keep going, and then the rest of Junior Motorsports and stuff. But yeah, that's those are my thoughts on the slate. Really past that, I don't think we need to talk about much else. It's a pretty short slate, pretty small slate, and yeah, I want to go watch the rest of the COC cards. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Best of luck. Bye bye. See you.